Good afternoon from Los Angeles and welcome to Stock Market Today. On today's show, we're going to take a look at two stocks with compelling charts ahead of their quarterly reports next week, as well as a look at Netflix, which is moving just a little bit after its earnings report earlier this week. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Quorum here with Ken Shreve. And Ken, let's take a look at the major indexes because we're going to be taking a look at the Dow, which we usually either are looking at the NASDAQ or S&P, but we want to take a look at the Dow today. Boeing, of course, still in the headlines.
Yeah, well, the Dow has been just as impressive as the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. It was down more than 200 points intraday. We had a big sell-off in Asian markets overnight, but this stock market proved once again that there are still a lot of buyers out there. The Dow pretty much erased a 200-point intraday loss, and the NASDAQ and S&P look like they're going to close near session highs here. Boeing was a top gainer in the Dow Jones today. New CEO David Calhoun addressed the media for the first time. He's optimistic about a return of the 737 MAX, even though that's probably not going to be until the summertime at the earliest. But just another impressive performance for the stock market today.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's take a look at a few individual names, starting off with PayPal, which is working on the right side of a base here with a decent gain today after announcing Wednesday a partnership in China with UnionPay, expanding its footprint there. And again, PayPal reporting earnings next week.
Yeah, and PayPal was stock of the day. In fact, a story just went up at investors.com, so be sure to check out the stock of the day feature. PayPal has had a presence in China already, but this is just kind of expanding its footprint. UnionPay International is the largest provider of bank card services. It's going to give PayPal access to 120 million card members. They're going to be able to open PayPal accounts. So I think PayPal obviously looking at China as a strong market for growth. We have earnings next week from PayPal, and this is a stock, as you can see on the chart here, working on the right side of a cup-shaped base. It's definitely a breakout candidate.
Yeah, so we've seen PayPal basing for quite a while here. So for those who aren't yet in this stock, maybe didn't find, there might not be a super clear early entry here. I know it had a kind of a 3 weeks tight in there a couple weeks ago, but at this point, the strategy would be wait to see that earnings move, maybe potentially look at an option play here.
Well, we happen to be talking about PayPal as an option trade in the earnings preview. I'm finishing that up right now, but it's actually a pretty reasonably priced option trade, and you can actually go out into February for an expiration date. So you've got you can find a trade with about 3% downside risk with giving it a few weeks to work. So I think this one looks good, and it's a good solid base taking shape here. All these stocks that are forming bases right now, there's like Match as an example, and Mercado Libre. They all have lagging relative strength lines because they've been forming bases. Right. But these you can't sell these stocks short. They're all breakout candidates, and I would put PayPal in that group as well.
Yeah, and very strong annual earnings estimates for PayPal. So we'll definitely look forward to that report next week. And elsewhere, let's check in on Netflix. Netflix making a comeback after issuing a mixed earnings report late Tuesday, but that stock gaining about 6.5% in heavy volume today, reclaiming a buy point here, Ken. We did have some positive commentary from Guggenheim, raising their price target from $400 to $420. The stock finishing today just under the $350 mark.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely institutional buyers in Netflix today because the gains came in heavy volume after 2 days of heavy volume declines. Again, they reported earnings late Tuesday. The stock reacted negatively Wednesday. It was down more than 3% in higher volume. So we know that domestic subscriber growth not doing so well at Netflix, but international doing quite well. So I think it's important to pay attention to decidedly bullish price action when you see it. And we did see it today in Netflix. It closed still in buy range from a 338.10 entry point, and we've been kind of, poo-pooing the chart in recent days, saying it was really having problems breaking out over this 338.10 entry, kind of showing sluggish price action. Again, the price action yesterday not so good, but I think today's price action, strengthens the chart materially.
Yeah, definitely changing the picture there. And I think quite a few analysts have said that international could be the story to watch this year with Netflix. So we'll have to see if as that continues to play out with all of the competition now out and continuing to come out this year with other options.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition. That's been an overhang for Netflix stock, but I have to remember that Reed Hastings is an outstanding CEO. They were first to market in streaming, so that there's something to be said for that. And again, pretty bullish price action for Netflix today.
Definitely. And a recent IPO that we've been keeping tabs on is Dynatrace, and that stock surging ahead of its quarterly report next week, reclaiming a buy point here after quite a few sessions of declines. It was able to hold above that 50-day line, though, amid the declines, but this one was quite a wild one after that initial breakout.
Yeah, I mean, 6 straight declines that you noted. Some of them came in heavy volumes. This is a volatile IPO, but like the price action today, we're going to hear from Dynatrace next week. This is a enterprise software stock. Their software helps customers basically modernize and basically automate their information technology infrastructure, and this is a booming market in enterprise software. And like Dynatrace's price action today, back above a 27.29 buy point. So this one's looking pretty strong too.
Right, and even though it is now back in buy range, if you're not already in this one with a cushion heading into earnings, potentially look at an option here. Or we also like to look at that post-earnings action. Perhaps if we get a gap up, that could also put this in the actionable category. Yeah,
a couple ways to play it. I suspect a call option is probably on the pricey side here, but this is one where if you do, it might be better off just to wait and see what the results look like. Thing about Dynatrace, it's not profitable yet, but it does have that big sales growth. This is an example of an IPO where you kind of weigh the positives and the negatives, and right now the positives seem to have a distinct upper hand over the negatives. So big sales growth, strong demand for the company's products, so expecting to see a pretty good quarter.
All right, well, we'll keep tabs on that, and in the meantime, the in-depth discussion of these stocks and more will continue tomorrow on IBD Live, so make sure you join us for that conversation. And if you haven't yet checked out IBD Live, make sure you visit all the details at investors.com/IBD Live. Looking forward to that tomorrow. And you can also check out this week's Investing with IBD podcast, which is out now. You can go to investors.com/podcast. We have a new episode every Thursday with host Arusha Pires, who is a panelist on IBD Live at times. And this week we were able to talk to CrowdStreet about commercial real estate crowdfunding, and Mike Webster made an appearance to dissect 3 stocks. So again, make sure you check that out.
It's always a great podcast, and I'm sure IBD Live will be. We've been talking about so many stocks every morning on IBD Live, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll be busy as well.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching today, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.